Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Heel Turn, our live weekly wrestling show, and the official podcast of ProWrestling.Cool. It's not just cool, it's .cool. We are here to talk about this past week in the WWE, which means we're going to talk Raw, we're going to talk SmackDown Live, we're going to briefly talk about NXT, and of course, we're just another week closer to Survivor Series. I'm Owen. Joined with me is nobody. There's no one here because I don't know where John is. He's missing. He said he was going to be here, but he's not, and it's showtime, so we're just going live. If he's able to join us throughout the show, he will call in, but you're stuck with me. We are streaming live over at Twitch at twitch.tv/ozoneonline, and for the first time, we're streaming on YouTube, which I don't have a URL for that. Just look up ProWrestling.Cool on YouTube. Hopefully, eventually, they'll give us a custom URL for that. So yeah, so if you're in the chats, I'm by myself, so please feel free to chime in. And welcome to Heel Turn. Usually this is the part of the show where we have banter, but I don't have anyone with me. So I'll just say, this past week I've been playing Super Mario Odyssey, which is a pretty good game. I've beaten the story, I've beaten the secret last level, and now I'm just going around collecting the rest of the moons, and it's pretty good. If you have a Nintendo Switch and you don't have Mario Odyssey, why do you even have it? If your answer is because I'm playing Picross or I'm playing Splatoon, sure, that's good, but also you should get the Mario game. It's because it's a Nintendo system. It's what you do. See, that's what I've been up to. Update on my knee. My knee is still messed up. I'm going to get an MRI next week and hopefully find out what's up with that. But yeah, that still hurts. We got PAX coming up in Philadelphia in a couple weeks. So Heel Turn will still be broadcasting live because people aren't arriving until the day after. So do not worry about that one. So yeah. I have nothing else really to banter about. It's a short banter because I'm again by myself. So I guess it is time to head into wrestling news. Alright, so the first bit of news comes from the WWE, and right after we recorded the podcast last week. Well, actually, it was more, I believe it was on Sunday that all this news broke, is that the WWE decided to release 3 superstars all from the Raw brand. And that being Emma, Darren Young, and Summer Rae. And in regards to Emma, I had heard some backstage stuff about her position in the company being kind of iffy, which, to be fair, it's been that way the entire time she's been in the company, with the whole, oh, she got fired because she stole an iPhone case and all that business a few years ago. But yeah, it looked like she was having a big push near the end, but unfortunately, it's apparently over now. She had those 2 matches with Asuka last week, and now she's gone. John last week was super excited trying to tell me, oh, she's getting pushed. This is finally, I'm getting good Emma matches. But unfortunately, that is the end of her. I'm hearing that all these were firings and not asking for releases, because initially I thought she was asking for her release. But that is not the case. This was a firing. Emma is now gone from the company, and it's a bummer. I liked her a lot. I remember the first NXT TakeOver Arrival show that I actually flew down to see. She was in the women's championship match against Paige, and it was one of the best women's wrestling matches I'd seen, up until, of course, the Bayley-Sasha Banks match at TakeOver Brooklyn. It's a real shame for her. Hopefully, with this big push at the end of her run in WWE, she'll be able to work elsewhere. Maybe a Ring of Honor. Hopefully not in Impact Wrestling. Pretty much anywhere she wants. She might go back to Australia. Who knows? Regarding Summer Rae, not much to say about that one. She was injured. She didn't have a lot going for her since the brand extension. they haven't really used her outside of Total Divas, so it's a real bummer. Friend of the show Mistaken was a huge fan of hers, but apparently she's now gone from the company. I really thought she was going to make a comeback from her injury and at least try to make an impact. Because she's actually a decent wrestler. Like, they didn't really give her much to do on the main roster. But that's a real bummer for her. Darren Young is a weird one. Because Darren Young has been a huge advocate for the anti-bullying stuff, for the LGBT rights. You know, he was, I believe, the first openly gay wrestler in the WWE. And they touted that when he opened up, and it was a big deal. And he's been a great ambassador. I've been seeing him on social media, attending a bunch of charity events and all that. So the fact that he's gone is a real head scratcher. I know he was also on an injury from I believe earlier this year. So he's been on the road to recovery, still doing all the charity events, still running around for the WWE, representing them, and now he is also gone. So that's a head scratcher for me. I'm not sure why they would release him. Yeah, those were the 3 releases. I'd heard that there might be more coming, but as of right now, those have not come to fruition. Most likely, they would come again from the Raw side. So it sucks to see people lose their jobs. I hope it's not true. I hope people are going to continue to keep their jobs, but we will keep a close eye on that one. Speaking of people losing their jobs, the next bit of news is a real downer. So Anthem. Everyone knows Anthem. You know, fuck that owl. They bought Impact when it was dying and continued to make terrible decisions. The whole Hardy feud they got going on with the rights to the broken characters. Well, they've done another horrible thing for the world of wrestling, because if you guys don't know, there is a radio program / a podcasting network of sorts called Live Audio Wrestling, which I have quite a few friends who work there and have been, you know, really instrumental in getting me into the wrestling journalism game. And now apparently they don't have jobs because they've canceled Live Audio Wrestling. Apparently they're gonna reboot it with whole new people or something. They're taking a hiatus right now. So that's Jason Agnew, John Pollock, Wai Ting, Brain Harrington, Jimmy Corderas, everyone. Pretty much everyone that's involved with that is now gone from the Fight Network, and it's all thanks to Anthem. Dave Meltzer had said that this is kind of due to the whole Impact, the acquisition of Impact destroying their television, their revenue for television. So this is unfortunately one of the casualties. Is a institution that's been in the wrestling journalism game for over 20 years. Again, really great guys. I've had so many great experiences talking with these guys. They've been helping me out, and I've been a big fan of theirs for years. So it's a huge bummer to see them go. John Pollock and Wai Ting, the guys who do the Raw and SmackDown reviews and also review old shows on their podcasts, apparently put up independent podcasts for reviewing Raw and SmackDown this week, which is fantastic. I listened to them. They're bummed out that they've lost their jobs, but they're gonna hopefully find a way to keep doing this thing. And I wish them the best, because they, again, are phenomenal people. What they do is great. They have a very interesting take on professional wrestling. Way better than me and John's. So, best of luck to them. Hopefully they get something going on. Maybe start up a Patreon or something. Works well for us over at patreon.com/PWC. A little cheap plug there. So yeah. That's a shame for them. The next bit of news is that Hideo Itami has been, Hideo Itami has had a rough time in WWE with NXT. Constantly getting injured when he's getting pushed. He had a recent heel turn that was going well. Then again, on the shelf again. It looks like they're finally going to just push him up to the main roster That's the good news. The bad news is that it looks like he's going to 205 Live. Because he's a smaller guy. And of course, where else do the smaller guys from the independents go but the 205 Live? It works so well for Austin Aries, you know? So wonderful. Put him in there with Enzo Amore and all those people. It'll be wonderful. I'm sure nothing terrible could come from this. Just ask Akira Tozawa. He's doing wonderful. I mean, I still like him, but no one's watching what he's doing because it's, again, 205 Live. We don't even cover that show on this podcast because it's that terrible. Though they did have a Halloween segment this week that was better than Raw's, which I will get to because I, in fact, did write some stuff down for Raw since I was not prepared to cover it. But our pal John is not here, and the show must go on. And one more bit of news, which I need to actually look up the details for this one, because it is real dumb. So this week, the WWE travel packages for WrestleMania 34 in New Orleans went on sale. And you may think, oh, that's great. You know, you get your hotel, you get your tickets to all the shows, you get access. Good stuff. But there's a lot of different packages this year. And the top one is so... I don't even know how to describe it. This is a weird one. Let me pull it up. It is the once-in-a-lifetime package for WrestleMania 34. And this is what you get. Okay, you get ringside seats to WrestleMania. Awesome. Ringside seat to NXT TakeOver New Orleans. Fantastic. Good. Keep going. You get a behind-the-scenes experience with the WWE superstars. I mean, that's cool. It says it's going to be before NXT TakeOver. So you get to see a bunch of those guys. That's neat. An exclusive reception with WWE superstars prior to WrestleMania. Food and beverage included. That sounds fine. And you get a New Orleans area hotel, which again comes with all the packages. Here's the interesting thing: no Raw or SmackDown Live tickets with that. That's weird, right? Then instead of those, they give you a private charter flight with WWE legends. One, they don't tell you which legends, so it could be anyone. Two, here's the caveat. It is a flight to and from New York City. So it doesn't matter where else in the world you live, you would have to fly to New York first, then get on a flight to New Orleans. So even if you're like closer to New Orleans, if you're like on the west coast of the US, you have to fly all the way to the east coast and then down just to travel with some unknown hodgepodge of WWE legends. Why? Like, this is the most expensive package. Why would you do that? And also, it's a maximum of 2 people per group for that one. Whereas the Mardi Gras package, which is the one right below that, gets you tickets to all the shows. You get the reception. You get a Mardi Gras experience, which is a tour of a mask making workshop, which is pretty cool. And you get to hotel and all that. That's less expensive. Why would anyone go for the other one when you can go for the one where you get to do cool stuff in New Orleans? I don't know. It's a weird one to me. So yeah, that's what we got for WrestleMania travel packages. My buddy Dan Reichert apparently bought a travel package. I don't know which one he got. He's in New York, so he could get this really stupid one with the charter flight, but I don't think he would do that. That's just, again, this guy's insane, so maybe. I'd assume he'd probably get the VIP or the Platinum, not go that crazy. Because again, he's getting it for 2 people or more. I know him and his wife are going, so that's good for them. I will, of course, be spending a ton of money to go to the Royal Rumble in January because I don't know any better. It's in Philadelphia. It's in my town. The last Royal Rumble was so great with Roman Reigns winning. Why not just spend a whole ton of money to watch another one of those? Yeah, that's it for the wrestling news. If anyone in the chat has any other topics you'd like me to cover, just again post them in the chat and I would be happy to discuss it with you. Double checking the chats. We're good? And alright, so let's move on to Monday Night Raw. So, Monday Night Raw was a night of a bunch of returns. First off, on the top of the show, we saw the return of Stephanie McMahon, who technically was around during the whole Vince McMahon getting headbutted on SmackDown, but I'm guessing that counts as a non-canonical. I'm not sure how we do that, how we count that one. And yeah, so she came out and she set up the whole storyline of, hey Kurt, you let SmackDown invade because you trusted Shane McMahon. Well, how could you? Everyone got beat up. We look bad. So now you're the captain of Team Raw, and if you guys don't win, you get fired. Because last time Stephanie went head to head with the general manager of Raw, that went so well. Remember that stuff with McFoley? Wasn't that long ago. It was earlier this year. Wasn't good then. Still not good now. It's nice to see Kurt get back into the ring again, but this is a weird caveat where I'm a SmackDown guy and I want SmackDown to win, but also does Kurt losing mean he just gets to stay on the roster as an active wrestler and not the general manager? Because I don't know if I want him wrestling like often. Though we're kind of getting him wrestled 2 months in a row, which is kind of weird. So we'll have to keep an eye on that one. But Stephanie being back, not a great addition. A good addition, though, is that Nia Jax came back. Because word had been going around she had asked for some time off, which apparently was only a couple weeks. Who knows? She's back now. And she is on the Raw Women's Survivor Series team with Captain Alicia Fox doing her dirty work on Raw and just demolishing people. I believe it was Bayley she demolished, which is... She was really falling down the rungs real quickly, isn't she? Real shame for Bayley, but yeah, Nia Jax is back. That's good, because Raw needs a powerful person to go head to head with Tamina, who's already announced to be on the women's team. So seeing those two go to head to head could be a fun moment in the Survivor Series match. So that's good. That's good. I'm happy to see that. Happy Nia Jax is back. But what I'm really happy about is that Samoa Joe immediately came back after Nia Jax's match. And because they're in the Northeast in Baltimore, everyone's real pro Joe because Joe is awesome. And he immediately turned it back on the fans in his promo and said, "You guys didn't check up on me enough. I hate you all. Don't chant for me. I'm gonna destroy Apollo Crews." Which he did. Because being Apollo Crews means so much. I mean, it's good to have Joe come back in dominating fashion. So, it's good to have him back. The two minor people came back, interestingly, is Bo Dallas being part of the Miztourage again, and JoJo ring announcing. These two had been missing because they were in quarantine after the whole mumps, meningitis, whatever outbreak that happened a few weeks ago. So the fact that they're all clear and they're back, good news. Bray Wyatt reportedly was backstage, was not used on the show. Probably for the best, because last time we saw Bray Wyatt, he was doing that whole Sister Abigail thing. We don't need to ever bring that up again. Never happened. It never happened. So yeah, it's good to have those people back. Raw has really been hurting. they need that talent. Because if you saw our stats article last week, because of all the people disappearing, the top 10 had people with losing records. And that's really not a good sign for your show when you can't even find 10 people who are doing well. Well, win-loss wise, obviously. But speaking of winners and losers, Asuka had a match on Raw. And her normal punching bag Emma is gone, as we talked about in the news section. So she got to fight some jobber and just beat the crap out of her real dominantly. It was pretty great, actually. I understand it not being her first match being on a pay-per-view to have a match like that, but this is the match Asuka needed. So I'm real happy to have her dominating, kicking ass, looking like a monster that she should. Curious if they'll get her onto the Survivor Series team. And if she is, how, like, you can't have her lose in that match, right? Like, she would need to be disqualified or thrown, or something would need to happen to her for Raw not to win. Or else, clearly, Raw has to win. Because you can't have Asuka losing on the main roster that quickly if you're bringing up the whole undefeated streak, super dominant Empress of Tomorrow stuff. So I'm curious to see how they handle Asuka going forward. If she will actually be in the Survivor Series match, or if they'll ask her and she'll say no. They need to find 5 women. Let's see, they got Nia Jax. They got Alicia Fox. Alexa Bliss is busy. I guess Mickie James could be in there along with Sasha and Bayley. Like, that could be the team. Not sure. We will see in the coming weeks. And Bubba in the chat says that's the reason winning streaks are bad. Bad comes forward. Exactly. As I had mentioned, there's no real win. There's no win scenario outside of Raw having to win the match if she's put into the Survivor Series team. So there you go. And thank you, Bubba, for tuning in and being in the chat. Because again, I am by myself this week. John is missing. Don't know where he is. He was talking to me before the show and just vanished. I think Raw was too much for him. He just couldn't handle it anymore. I'm done with wrestling. I have to get out. And that's why you have me over here recapping Raw. However, there is one positive thing going on with Raw, and that is Drew Gulak. He is the only positive thing in the Cruiserweight division, and I'm happy he exists. And oddly enough, him pairing up with Enzo, kind of working. I'm kind of into it. Because when Enzo didn't have his voice the other week, they had Drew Gulak cutting the promo for him. And now they just have him cutting the promo for him anyway, because Drew Gulak's the best. And he can actually properly spell soft, because it's not a hard word to spell. It's got 4 letters. Not 5 like Enzo believes. So him cutting the promo in the whitest way possible for Enzo was fantastic. It's just a shame that he can't seem to win matches. Like, I know he won a match on 205 Live last week, but when it comes to Raw, I don't think Drew Gulak's been in a singles victory ever. And it's a bummer. I think he's the best. Clearly, his PowerPoint presentation stuff is super over. He is super entertaining. I've been saying it since day one that he is a superstar, and he is too good for this division, and yet here we are. Hopefully, if this whole Cruiserweight thing fails, they can move him to the main roster with Tony Nese and have them as a tag team. Because they're fun together. I like those two. What else do we have here from Raw? Alright. So Daniel Bryan, SmackDown General Manager, all around good guy, Lumberjack Dad, Mr. I'm going to wrestle in Ring of Honor after I'm done with WWE because I'm an insane person. he showed up on Raw and tried to explain to Kurt Angle what was going on with the whole invasion thing and how it's a whole misunderstanding. He had nothing to do with it, but Kurt, being an asshole, locked him in his office, turned out the lights, and had Kane come in and murder him. Which, I'm going to give WWE credit. This was kind of clever. With the darkness, you could actually have Danny Bryan get chokeslammed without him taking the actual bump, because for real, Danny Bryan, you should not be taking bumps. You might die. We do not want that. So the fact they had this phantom bump and him stretchered out was brilliant. Real happy with that. It lights an extra fire under SmackDown with their lovable general manager getting wiped out. So that was cool. But Kane wasn't done, because apparently Kane just wants to kill everyone. He killed Finn Balor. He attacked the Shield. Like, Kane just pretty much went on a rampage on this episode, trying to establish that he's a monster. Which later in the episode we got the real monster show up. So these two aren't Braun Strowman and Kane aren't gonna have a match at Survivor Series, right? Because it's a whole brand versus brand book show. They'd have to have this match on television because Raw does not have a pay-per-view in December. It's similar to the thing earlier, a few months ago, where Raw was the only ones with a pay-per-view right after SummerSlam. And SmackDown was left without one. So I guess they're going to build up to a television match, because the only other time they could do it is the Royal Rumble. And that's in late January. That's forever away. So yeah, I guess I'll give... I mean, and Braun's also... That's right, Braun is in the Survivor Series match. So he can't... He's not going to be eligible to wrestle him at the pay-per-view. Which, again, I need to remind you, it's 4 hours. They're going to have a 4-hour show, and they have not booked that many matches. Like, are the Survivor Series matches going to be like an hour long or something to fill this time? They also going to have a 2-hour pre-show. It's maddening. I don't know. Are they doing a Survivor Series match with the Cruiserweights still? No, because they're having the title match, aren't they? With Kalisto and Enzo? It's weird. This show, I don't know what they're doing. They need to fill out a card or something. It's only a couple weeks away. It was like 2 or 3 weeks from now. So yeah, this will be interesting. Especially if they're going to just have Kane and Braun Strowman culminate to a television match. That's kind of a waste. This is a match you could put on pay-per-view. A match you could not put on pay-per-view, or you shouldn't even put on television for that matter, is the Trick or Street fight that went down between Heath Slater and Rhino against the Good Brothers, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. Now, I had heard some stuff earlier this week where people were saying, oh, the Gallows and Anderson removed WWE mentions from their Twitter profile. It must mean they're being let go from the company. Oh, no. Whereas, no, that's not what's going on. They're, in fact, flying out to Europe. I guess they're currently in Europe now for their tour. You wouldn't be flying people out, for that if you're going to be firing them. So don't believe people are saying that. Unless something changes dramatically, I'm pretty sure they're okay. Raw needs tag teams. Despite the fact that they're not really using them that much, they still need them. So yeah, there's Trick or Street fight. I don't know. Also, Bubba in the chat says that Survivor Series matches always take a million years. And recently, yeah, you're kind of right. I think the men's match last year was had to be like 40 minutes. It was a really long one. So you don't have a tag team Survivor Series match this year. They haven't announced one. And I don't know if they have enough teams to fill out one. Because I think the Bludgeon Brothers, the Ascension, and the Brazanga are all busy with whatever their weird thing is that they're doing, which we'll get to when we get to SmackDown. But yeah, this Trick or Street fight was it was bad. A friend of the show, Oscar, was chatting with me privately, telling me how great it was to him. And I, what planet are you on where you think that this was a decent wrestling match? I mean, the Rhino Heath Slater being Santa Claus made no sense. The fact that the Good Brothers put pumpkins on their heads incorrectly and then totally blind themselves and trying to do moves without being able to see was stupid. It wasn't even pumpkin pie that they were using. I don't even know what kind of pie it was. There was nothing redeeming about this match. It was a waste of time. It was messy. Both, technically and literally, it was messy. It was bad. And Bubba in the chat says, I legit don't know who the Raw Tag Champs are. That's how important they are right now. It is actually, believe it or not, it's Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. Like, they're doing a bunch of shit on their own. Apparently, they have these belts, too, for some reason. And they're going to fight the Usos at Survivor Series. And that's actually going to be a good match. I'm looking forward to that. It doesn't matter if they have... The belts don't matter, but at least these two teams will have a awesome match. Hopefully, again, a little biased because I'm on Team Blue. I hope that the Usos get the win. Because they've been just brilliant ever since this whole change in character. And the feud they just went off of with the New Day has elevated them to whole new levels. Whereas Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose are kind of still spinning their wheels because they don't really have competition on Raw. How many times are they going to fight the Bar? I mean, they're still fighting them. And Bubba in the chat says, fun and good wrestling are not necessarily related. Look at the Attitude Era. And that is true. Like, I think that this tag match at Survivor Series will be both fun and good because these two, like, the Usos, like, did you watch the Hell in a Cell match they had the New Day? Like, that was fun, and also it was an exciting match. Whereas this Trick or Street fight, I don't think it was fun, and I don't think it was... clearly it wasn't good wrestling, but I don't think it was fun either. Like, it's silly, oh, they got pumpkins and stuff, but... like, if you want to see a fun Halloween-themed match, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, watch the main event of 205 Live this week. Because it was a Fright Night Fatal 4-Way, and one of the spots was that I believe it was Tony Nese had a bag of thumbtacks that he was going to lay out on a table, and he found out those were not thumbtacks. They were in fact something much worse. It was candy corn. So yeah, using a bag of candy corn as a weapon, and then also throwing pumpkins at other people, that's fun. The match wasn't particularly something special, but they at least actually had legitimate fun with the match. But yeah, don't expect to hear about this Trick or Street fight at the end of the year when we do our worst of awards, because I'm likely gonna fight for it to be on the top, or should I say bottom 3. The main event of Raw was a women's championship match between Mickie James and the champion Alexa Bliss, because they had such a great match at the pay-per-view. I was raving about it on the show. I was talking about how this was like one of the highlights of TLC was that women's match. They had again. This was not a good match between these two. It was fine, but the crowd didn't care. I didn't care. It's the end of a 3-hour show. Everyone was checked out, and they didn't really put their full effort into it, and it was whatever. Alexa Bliss retained the belt because of course she did. You're not gonna have Mickie James against Natalya at Survivor Series. That's no one wants to see that. So yeah, that's a real shame because the women have been working really hard lately, or at least Alexa Bliss and Mickey James had at the pay-per-view, and like actually made people take notice. And whereas now they're just thrown into these bad situations where it's really hard to succeed, and they weren't given a lot of time, and it's a shame. I like Alexa Bliss a lot, and not just because she used to be on SmackDown. She's legitimately a great character, and we'll see how the match goes at Survivor Series. And Bubba, you're saying, is it bad that you knew it was going to be candy corn regarding the Cruiserweight match before it happened? No. I mean, if you're watching the match, you knew shenanigans were going on, and they weren't going to do thumbtacks on WWE TV in 2017 unless Chris Jericho is involved. So yeah, it was a good bit. I don't give 205 Live a lot of credit. I'll give them that one. It was fun. And Raw ended with, well, I see this was fun. The whole Braun Strowman thing, illogical, absolutely. Idiotic, yes, idiotic. Fun, absolutely fun. Because last time we saw Braun Strowman, he was murdered. He died in a trash compactor in the back of a trash truck and driven away. I believe this was in Minneapolis where this happened. And now, a little over a week later, we're in Baltimore, and he's coming back in the back of a totally different trash truck. 100% okay. Like I said, doesn't make any sense, but I'll roll with it because the way it was shot with the camera inside the limo, which is a sign that stupid shit's gonna happen to WWE when you see that. The reaction of the Miz and the Miztourage freaking out is pretty much they're doing like a horror movie thing with this, and it was hilarious. Plus, Braun Strowman straight up murdered people with his running power slam, killed everyone, total destruction. Braun Strowman's the best. Apparently, he cannot be killed. Ambulance crushing didn't kill him. Being crushed into a trash compactor didn't stop him. I don't even know if, like, do you need like a silver bullet to kill this man? And I don't even know if that would do it. He's pretty much unstoppable. And it's awesome. I still wish he'd beaten Brock Lesnar when they had that match, but you can't always get what you want. But they're doing a good job with him right now. I'm on board. Good stuff for Braun Strowman. And Bubba asked, "Do you subscribe to the idea that the real main event of Raw runs near the end of hour 2?" 100% absolutely yes. That is pretty much when the people stop tuning in, is when hour 3 starts. So they usually put in their best stuff there. Because if you remember, for the past a few weeks ago, the main event was the Cruiserweights. And not always the Cruiserweights having a match, but sometimes it was promos they were cutting. And it was no good. Remember, like, months ago when it was Big Cass against Big Show as the main event? Or main event in quotation marks in hour 3? Yeah, they don't care about hour 3. No one can sit through 3 hours of wrestling. Like, that's why when I'm gonna go to SmackDown after the Royal Rumble, because I bought tickets to all the shows. After SmackDown ends, I'm leaving. I don't even want to sit through the 3 hours of Raw that I have, but I'm gonna do it. Got nothing else to do. But if I have the option to leave before 205 Live starts, bet your ass I'm leaving. I went to SmackDown months ago before 205 Live debuted, when it was just the 2 hours. Perfect amount of time. I had a great time. Didn't feel too long. Didn't feel rushed. Like, I got what I wanted out of the show, and I left happy, and also it was 10 o'clock at night instead of 11. So yeah, the third hour of Raw is nothing. And if you saw the ratings this week for Raw. It actually like had the biggest drop from hour 2 to 3 ever during the 3-hour era of Raw, which has been going on for years now. But yeah, the third hour Raw was bad. They don't put any effort into it. They put the big stuff in hour 2. And that's all I got for Raw. Like, for not really being prepared to cover it, I think I did a pretty bang up job there. Wish I knew where John was. He still hasn't texted me or anything. That's bad. Hope he's okay. So now, I guess now we're gonna talk about SmackDown, which is my show of choice. Again, I'm wearing the T-shirt for SmackDown because I am part of the Under Siege. And speaking of Under Siege, first I want to point out that the crowd on SmackDown keeps chanting Under Siege, and I think it's awesome. Because it just shows how much loyalty SmackDown fans have to the brand, which, as one of those people, I can understand. It's good being the underdog. Raw's the flagship. Everyone always goes, "Oh, I always tune in to Raw because it's my tradition every week to watch Raw, or at least have it on in the background." But I tune in the Tuesday nights for SmackDown, and I watch it intently, and I have a great time doing it. And I am a fan, and I hope they win. And I know this whole Survivor Series brand thing is bullshit, but I don't care. I'm going to buy into it, and I'm going to root for the blue team. I want them to succeed. Shane opens the show explaining pretty much, why SmackDown is fighting Raw. He did a great job saying they're considered the A show. They got twice as many draft picks as we did. They have like so much more, given to them, whereas SmackDown was just treated as a secondary thing. And they started like trying to compete with Raw. They made the show live. They made Daniel Bryan the GM. They started this whole land of opportunity thing, giving people that didn't have chances before the brand extension having opportunities to really make a name for themselves. And, you can see that evidently by Jinder Mahal, of all people, being the champion, and Baron Corbin having a title. And, Ty Dillinger getting to have TV time. Just showing you that is actually true. And apparently this didn't seem enough. Raw still being seen as the A show. So Shane had a meeting with his superstars and discussed this, and decided the plan of attack was to go into Raw and invade them and kick their teeth in and prove that they are the superior show. And I thought it was cool. At least taking the effort to go, yeah, it was weird to have all these people working together, but we're going to try to explain it because these wrestlers have pride in the brand just like the fans have pride in it. And they're going to put aside their differences just to make a name for themselves. And it's good. I was happy with it. I really enjoyed that. Bubba says, I question how much loyalty it is and how much it's just plants getting the chance started in the crowd following. I don't think that's true. I actually think, like, as, again, one of the people who is loyal to SmackDown, it's been this way for a while. That at the shows, people have been very pro SmackDown. Even like a while ago, during the brand superstar shakeup or whatever it was called, that even the crowd in Raw was like cheering for SmackDown and booing for Raw, even though they were at the Raw show. It was weird. Like, people actually do have a connection with SmackDown, and I'm kind of into it because, again, I'm one of those people. I understand it. So I don't think it's plants. I think it's legit. Because it's been 2 weeks now they've been doing this Under Siege thing, and having been in crowds where some people try to do weird chants, if the crowd doesn't support it, they're not gonna just follow along like sheep. They will shoot it down. See those CM Punk chants, for example. So Shane continued to go on saying, well, if Kurt Angle's could be the captain of Raw, he will be the captain of SmackDown. So we have our second person confirmed for the team. It's Shane McMahon and Randy Orton. And In the night, we're going to have 2 qualifying matches to fill 2 more of the spots. One being a 2 out of 3 falls match with Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler, which, wasn't bad. I didn't like the other 2 matches. This one was fine. If you watched live, they did a picture-in-picture during the commercials that they do. And they actually had Bobby Roode's fall happen during that. So that was a neat little touch. They went back when they went back on the air and re-showed it. But yeah. They crammed this 2 out of 3 falls match into the 2-hour time frame that SmackDown has, and it was fine. Bobby Roode didn't, hit his finisher for his first fall, but he did for the second one, and it made sense. And Bobby Roode is now on the team. The only problem is he's still a babyface and cuts garbage promos. Because if you listen to his in-ring promo afterward, he just could not make words go properly. He said, I don't remember what he said. He was like, look, my opponents, they need to have, I forget what the word was. He used the wrong word and then, reiterated the correct word afterward. And then he said, hashtag under siege, and it was no good. Bobby Roode is not good in this character and seems to be super nervous on a live mic on the main roster. They need to quickly get him out of this face turn, making the cocky heel he was. Go yell glorious, but doing it in a mocking fashion, and we're good. Bubba says that Bobby Roode was born to be heel. Exactly. He should be a heel. It's even in his name. And yeah, he is. He was born to be rude. He's a rude dude. Bobby Roode. And come on, the whole glorious thing is supposed to be like him saying, I'm glorious and you're not. I'm the greatest thing. I'm going to make... remember when he was in NXT? He was like, I'm going to make this crowd full of CEOs and millionaires. It's going to be a luxury brand. It's all highlighted by me, the glorious one. And that was good. I wish they would let him do that. We get it. The theme song is catchy and it's fun. He could still have it in NXT and it still worked. The other qualifying match, which I'll just get these out of the way, was Kevin Owens against Shinsuke Nakamura in the main event. And earlier in the night, we had a locker room exchange between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn explaining why they would actually want to be on a team for Shane McMahon when they hate him. And Kevin Owens explaining that, if we lead SmackDown Live to victory over Raw, because fuck Raw, they're bad, but if we do that, Shane will be indebted to us because we're the ones that carry the team. And with that leverage, we could have the Sami and Kevin show and run this place. And I like that. They're saying, we still have this goal and we can use this as leverage by, and also beating up Raw, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. And the fact that they're playing logic into this is great. I wish Raw would do the same, but they don't really seem to care about making this logical outside of it's Survivor Series, we gotta hate SmackDown now. They beat us up that one time, but we're not doing anything about it. We're just gonna keep the course. So I appreciate that. And the match was good. The stuff around the outside of it made sense. Sami Zayn came out, tried to help Kevin Owens. But of course, Shinsuke's friend now, Randy Orton, even the odds, and set up the Kinshasa for the victory. So now Kevin and Sami are both sitting on the outside, not getting what they wanted, while Randy Orton and Shinsuke Nakamura are representing SmackDown, along with Bobby Roode and Shane McMahon. And as I wrote in about last night, which you can read over at ProWrestling.Cool, it's our website, I actually detail and I question, what does this mean for those two coming to Survivor Series? Because now they don't have a match. Do they find themselves in a different match represent SmackDown? Do they come in and screw Shane McMahon out of the match and to get revenge on him? I'm not sure. I think they'll have to try to build something over the coming weeks because these two are the focal point of the show. But it'll be curious to see what direction they go in. Again, from a previous conversation, Bubba says, I always saw Glorious as inherently heel. How can you make someone with that music a face? It's because it's catchy and people like to sing along. It's still, you're right, it still is very heelish. They should make him a heel. What else happened on SmackDown of interest? Next week they announced that we're gonna have the Usos against Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable for the tag titles, which means their match at Survivor Series is up for grabs in this one. I really hope the Usos retain. I don't want to see Gable and Benjamin fighting the Shield. That's a way less interesting match. We had the Singh brother versus AJ Styles match, which was dumb. And I'm guessing is slowly setting up a match between these two at Clash of Champions in December. Because with all this build, you're really not going to just blow the AJ Styles match on television to set him up for the Brock Lesnar match, are you? That'd be terrible. The Bludgeon Brothers cut a promo. They're still in the woods. They're still saying a bunch of crazy shit and hitting the camera with the hammers. I'm all on board for that. The women had a backstage segment where they were all, again, doing the legwork to establish why they're teaming up for Survivor Series, with Becky leading the chart explaining, again, we're seen as the inferior show. Like, we don't get respect. Screw these Raw people. We're gonna kick their ass. Everyone in, and then Natalya, the one person not in the match, comes in, heals it up, and continues to establish her feud with Charlotte, saying that she's the weak link. And if they lose, it's all her. It's gonna be all her fault. Which could set up a really good scenario where Charlotte is the sole survivor up until the end, and then either wins it all to set up a title match, or loses it all and still get the match, but based on getting angry and blaming Natalya for it. Because clearly that's where they're going. These two are going to continue to go at it, and we'll see how that one goes. But yeah, again, I appreciate them trying to set up the reason why this match is going on. We had Baron Corbin and Sin Cara fight again. That's the third week in a row this has been going on. First time, Sin Cara won by count out. The second time, Sin Cara won by disqualification. Can I point out that Baron Corbin is a United States champion? And I need to keep reminding myself of that. The only reason I know is because he's having a Twitter feud with The Miz. God, he is just decimating that belt. It is not doing well because I keep forgetting that it exists. And now he's freaking losing to Sin Cara a whole bunch, of all people. And now we're getting this bullshit in this match where he keeps trying to rip off the mask for some reason, because he's embarrassed, I guess, from losing, and now he wants to embarrass Sin Cara. And it causes him to go all crazy and throw an announcer chair at Baron Corbin and get disqualified. I have a feeling this is going to lead to a title versus mask match, and Sin Cara is just going to lose his mask. Because really, you're not going to put the belt on him. Come on now. So yeah, I don't know what's going on there. I just don't know. It's not benefiting anyone. Bub says in the match, award for who gives a crap match of the week goes to. No, I'm gonna give that award to the the Samir Singh versus AJ Styles match, because I tuned out of that one way more. And it actually had a finish, because of course it did. But also, why are you wasting AJ Styles in this? That was just the most useless thing of the week. What else did we have on? Let me take a look here. I have 2 more things I can talk about for SmackDown. One being the New Day having the best Halloween costumes. If you didn't see it, Xavier Woods was dressed up as Jimmy Hart. Kofi Kingston was dressed up as Brother Love with the red face and everything. Oh my god, it looked so good. And Big E as Akeem the African Dream, which is really, really weird to see a black man play a white man who's playing a black man. It's meta as hell. It's incredible. But yeah, they were backstage giving out Halloween candy because this episode of SmackDown was on Halloween. And everyone loves Halloween except Rusev, because he loves Rusev Day, which is every day. And it's the best holiday, apparently. And possibly the best setup for a match this year. He takes Big E's candy that he had in his like pumpkin canister, dumps it on the ground and stomps on it, which pisses Big E off incredibly, and demands that they have a match. Like I just love this. This was so great. Because that is how you settle your differences, and like you should actually don't just book matches for the sake of booking matches. This is a reason for these two to fight. You ruined this man's candy. He was gonna eat that candy or give it out, and you ruined it. You tried to ruin Halloween. Screw Rusev. He is brilliant. And the match they had was good. With the end coming with Aiden English getting up on the announcer desk trying to sing about Rusev Day. Xavier Woods interrupting with his trombone and then getting clocked. And leading up to a distraction super kick by Rusev for the win. Rusev super stoked about this. It was great. And Bubba in the chat says it makes just as much sense as anything else in the WWE universe. It's true, but come on, feuding over candy, they spilt candy. That's fun. Dude, that's the kind of fun Halloween stuff I'm into. It doesn't detract from the wrestling too much. But I think the best part, which someone pointed out to me earlier today about this whole Rusev thing, is that when he went back to Shane's office, he asked him if he was elated about Rusev's big victory. Which, if you remember back when Rusev got that quick pin on Randy Orton, Renee interviewed him backstage and asked if he was elated. And Rusev replied by saying he does not know what that word means. So, very subtly, in between the time of that interview and now, he had learned the word and how to use it and decided to use it in a promo. Awesome detail. I really enjoy that. So, he talked to Shane about that. You know, Rusev's Day being great. He wants to be, now he's on a hot streak now after one win. Wants to represent SmackDown on the Survivor Series team. And he will have his qualifying match for the last spot next week against AJ Styles. And we all know how that one's gonna go. Clearly, AJ Styles is gonna win. Yeah. And Bubba says someone won with a super kick. That's the first in a long time. Well, when you consider that Dolph Ziggler's the one doing the super kicks and he's kind of garbage and doesn't win, outside of grabbing tights, I guess it makes sense. The last thing I want to talk about for SmackDown is the Stranger Things parody for the Fashion Files, which they are starting to get back on a hot streak with these things. I'm really enjoying this. If you haven't seen it, go on YouTube or Hulu or whatever your streaming option of whatever. Just go find it on the internet and go watch it. It's great. If you are a fan of Stranger Things season 1, which is where these references came from, it was fun. We had Fandango feeding somebody under a sheet some waffles, which were not Eggos, they were Uggos. We had Victor dressed up as Barb, which, everyone knows Barb sucks. He was still talking about the gluten-free stuff. Connor came in dressed up as Kane for Halloween, which freaked everyone out because they thought it was an invasion. Tyler Breeze was dressed up as 11. The person under the sheet was actually another 11, except they were 10 because it was Ty Dillinger. It was fun. Also, it ended with them having a cork board up with all the possible suspects for who the 2B is, despite the fact that they essentially keep saying that it's the Bludgeon Brothers. Again, highlights it's the Bludgeon Brothers. There's a rustle in the darkness. Everyone's apparently been kidnapped, and someone on a small screen with a mask says, "Let the games begin." I'm pretty sure next up is going to be a Saw parody with them all chained up, having to solve a puzzle, and I'm all aboard for that. I love the Saw series of movies. That could be fun. I wish we could see Breezango and the Ascension having wrestling matches, but these are still fun. I'm enjoying these. This is a good time. I'm glad to see these guys all being creative and having fun on TV. So yeah, that's it for SmackDown. SmackDown was a good episode this week. I had a good time. I'm again appreciating them building up toward Survivor Series in a logical way. And plus, we got big matches set up for next week with the tag title match between the Usos and Gable and Benjamin, and the AJ Styles versus Rusev match to qualify for the team. So all around, good episode of Raw. Excuse me, what am I saying? A good episode of SmackDown. Raw's garbage. Don't watch them. And now at the end here, we usually talk about NXT. But I did not watch NXT because I was busy preparing stuff for the show. John is usually our guy to cover NXT. So the only things that I can glean from looking at the results is that they finally announced what is going on with NXT TakeOver Houston. Because it's not TakeOver Houston, it's TakeOver War Games. And we have our match set up between Sanity, the Authors of Pain with Roderick Strong, and the Undisputed Era. I'm not too crazy about them doing the whole 3-team thing because War Games should be 2 teams. But I guess I'll let them do the best they can with it. Hopefully it works out well. I can't confirm. There are going to be 2 rings with the cage over both of them. That's going to be fun. As long as I have the coin toss. Wait, I don't even know how they can do a coin toss with there being 3 teams. Or is it going to be a member of all 3 teams start in, and then they, one by one, have members enter from the teams? Because if you don't know how War Games works, there are no decisions until... Because it starts out with... In the traditional, it's 2 teams. A person from each team starts. Then every few minutes, they alternate between members of either team joining the match. And the decisions don't get activated until everyone's in and the match beyond starts. And then it's win by submission or surrender. Which you may think it's the same thing, but it's not. It's war. Surrender is an option. It's fun. If you haven't seen them, go watch the old ones between Dusty Rhodes and the Horsemen. Those are fantastic stuff. So War Games should be fun. I actually looked into tickets to fly down to Houston to go see it, but unfortunately they're very expensive, and also I have plans to attend something else that night. So I'm not even get to see it live. That sucks. I love War Games. War Games is my favorite match type. And Bubba asked another question. The real question is, when will Dean Ambrose learn how to pull a punch? And the answer is never. He's the lunatic fringe. And by that, it means he has license to punch people. I guess. I don't know. As long as he doesn't punch his wife, everything's fine. So yeah. War Games coming up. Should be fun. Looking forward to that. Survivor Series is coming up. Starting to shape up nicely. Hopefully. Hopefully we get some more matches between the two brands. Aside from the elimination matches. I'm trying to think what else could they do? Could they do a tag team Survivor Series match? Do they have enough teams for that? I don't know. I guess we'll. I'm assuming they're not going to do any, internal brand fighting on the show, since that's not the theme of the show. I guess we'll find out. And I guess that's going to do it for Heel Turn. Like, I've talked for quite a bit of time. I talked for a little over an hour now. By myself. Don't know where John is. Hope he's okay. But that's it for Heel Turn. Thanks everyone for tuning in and dealing with me by myself. And a huge thanks to Bubba in the chat for, giving me something to work with at least, because it is not easy to do a show by yourself. Let me just say that I hope John's okay. Hope he comes back next week. And you can follow the show at ProWrestling.Cool. It's our website. We have About Last Night's up. I believe that I'm going to start covering Raw for the website now because John doesn't want to write about it. So I'm going to start doing that, as well as my SmackDown coverage, statistics, hot takes, where our writer friend Michael comes in every Friday and writes about a topic he cares about. Usually controversial, always a good read. He is a fantastic writer. You can follow us on Twitter at The Heel Turn and at PWDOTC. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/PWDOTC. It's DOT because it's dot. We can't put a dot into these usernames, so just understand it's ProWrestling.Cool, PWDOT, and then C. However, on our Patreon, we don't need the DOT because we, for some reason, available was patreon.com/PWC. You can support the show there. We really, really appreciate even $1 a month because it unlocks the show notes. Higher tiers you can get access to being on our pre-show, where you can chat with me on the air about whatever's going on in wrestling that week. Me and John are trying to put out a premium podcast every month, where we do a fantasy booking improv exercise where we take turns booking really bizarre variations of the matches for the pay-per-view, take our real ideas, hodgepodge them together. It's a lot of fun. We did one for Hell in a Cell last month. We're gonna do one for Survivor Series. If he comes back, he might be in the Upside Down. I don't know where he is. So make sure you do that. You can follow me personally on Twitter at the @the_ozone. The Twitch is at twitch.tv/ozoneonline. You can search ProWrestling.Cool on YouTube. We're starting to do streaming on that because we want to be able to reach people on the platforms that they like. And apparently YouTube's a cool thing. Who would have thunk? Who would have thunk? But yeah, that's it for Heel Turn. Thank you for tuning in. We will be back next week, hopefully with a regular episode. Hopefully I'm not by myself again, please. And until then, John, please come back. I miss you. I can't do this by myself.